It was barely dawn, the kind of chilly morning where the air bites your knuckles, and there I was, standing in what used to be my parking spot, now a sloppy, muddy pit with a garden hose trickling water and a busted orange cone bobbing like it had given up on life. I was in my old work boots, jeans soaked to the knees, gripping a dented shovel in one hand and a steaming mug of coffee in the other, while my neighbor, HOA Rep Mike, stared at me like I'd just confessed to a crime. "Tom, what in God's name is this?" he asked, his clipboard trembling. I took a sip, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Lisa happened, Mike." So I made it a pond. That's when it hit Metas wasn't about a parking spot anymore. It was war, personal and petty, and I was all in. 5 months earlier, Lisa rolled into our quiet little cul-de-sac in suburban Ohio like she was auditioning for a reality show nobody asked for. She drove a bright red Fiat, wore these giant sunglasses even at night, and had this yappy little terrier decked out in a bow that matched her yoga pants. She'd cruise around in a golf cart with fake chrome rims, waving like she was the queen of Maple Grove. The first time she parked in my spot, I let it slide. New neighbor. Maybe she didn't see the sign. That spot wasn't just any chunk of asphalt. It was mine, assigned years ago for my sister, Ellie, who's been in a wheelchair since a car wreck left her with nerve damage. There's a metal plaque right there, reserved for 214 Maple, clear as day. But Lisa? She saw that sign and decided it meant, "Park here whenever I damn well please." The second time, I left a polite note on her windshield. The third time, I called the HOA. By the sixth time, I got it. Lisa wasn't confused. She just didn't care. I'd knock on her door, and she'd crack it open, phone glued to her ear, and say, "Oh, it's just for a minute, hon," then slam it shut. That minute was 6 hours. The HOA was useless, sending me emails like, "We're reviewing the situation," while ignoring the photos I sent of her car squatting in my spot. Then came the day that broke me. Ellie had a physical therapy session, one we'd waited 3 months for, and we shuffled out with her chair, her bag, the whole deal, only to find Lisa's Fiat parked dead center in our space. I banged on her door for 10 minutes. She finally answered, mid-laugh, and said, "Oops, my bad," before shutting me out. No apology, no keys, nothing. We missed the appointment. Ellie tried to smile it off, but I saw her hands shaking, and that night, something in me snapped. I was done playing nice. The next morning, I caught Lisa outside, watering her azaleas, and said, calm as I could, "Please stop parking there, it's for Ellie." She smirked, flicked her hair, and said, "Tom, it's just pavement. Don't be so dramatic." That afternoon, I found a fresh scratch on my truck's tailgate, deep and deliberate. My security cam caught it all. Lisa, at 3:15 p.m., dragging her key across the paint, looking right at the lens with this smug little grin. I didn't confront her. Instead, I called my buddy Nate, who works in city planning. Over wings and a couple of beers, I pitched a crazy idea. What if I turned that parking spot into my yard? It was technically on my property line. Nate laughed, then got serious, pulled up some zoning maps, and said, you might pull this off." By midnight, we had a plan: call it a rain garden for stormwater management, file for a digging permit, and make it legal. I submitted the paperwork the next day. By Friday, I had the green light. That weekend, I went to work. I started with a shovel, carving out the edges of the spot while Lisa watched from her porch, arms crossed, judging me like I was defacing a national monument. I stuck some utility flags in the ground just to mess with her. Knew it'd drive her nuts. Neighbors strolled by, curious, asking if I was planting roses or something. "Yeah, something like that," I said, smirking. On Sunday, I rented a mini digger, thanks to a loophole in the HOA rules about landscaping equipment. By Monday, that parking spot was a shallow pit, maybe 4 feet across, looking like a kiddie pool gone rogue. I rigged up a hose to keep it filled, tossed in some water lilies for kicks, and waited. Lisa lost it. She stormed over, face red as her Fiat, yelling, "You can't just tear up the street." I handed her a copy of the permit, smiled, and said, "Take it up with the city. Bring a ruler." She snatched the paper, glared at it like it was in another language, and huffed off, muttering about lawyers. That night, the pond started to come alive. Bugs hummed, birds swooped in, and by Wednesday, a couple of mallards showed up, paddling like they owned the place. Lisa's rage hit new heights. She'd stand at the edge of the water, snapping photos, yelling about flooding the neighborhood ironic, since she'd been drowning me in stress for weeks. The HOA slapped a cease construction notice on my door, but when Mike came by and saw the permit, he just shook his head and said, "Well, hell, Tom, you've got me there." Then Lisa upped the ante. She parked her Fiat right across my driveway, blocking me in, and left for the day. I snapped pics, sent them to the city, and by evening, her car had a tow sticker plastered on the window. The look on her face when she saw those ducks waddling through her precious shortcut? Pure gold. She just stood there, trembling, silent for once. But I knew Lisa she wasn't done. She'd hit back, and I had to be ready. So I kept going. When I found my hose sliced in half, poodle prints leading to her yard, I didn't blink. I replaced it and planted citronella along the pond's edge. She hated the smell, sneezed every time she passed. I called my friend Jake, who runs a drone side hustle, and asked him to film the pond project for my fake blog. We got killer footage. The pond, now lined with river rocks, a cheap solar fountain bubbling away, ducks gliding, even a frog or two. It looked like a nature reserve, not a spite project. Lisa caught the drone one day, flipped it off mid-tantrum, and I posted the clip to our neighborhood's Facebook group with the caption, "Lisa versus the Ducks, Round 1. It got 40 likes in an hour. Someone added slow mo to her gesture legendary. Then she crossed a line. I woke up to a gurgling sound, checked the pond, and smelled Ichlerin, like a pool store exploded. The water was cloudy, and an empty jug of pool shock lay in my bushes. My wildlife cam had it all. Lisa, at 2 a.m., pouring chemicals into the hose line, grinning like a villain. I sent the video to the city's environmental office, called a wildlife rehabber to test the water, and waited. The ducks were fine, thank God, but the violation was real. That same day, the HOA called an emergency meeting. Lisa showed up with a binder, a PowerPoint, the works 30 slides of nonsense about mosquito plagues, duck attacks, and emotional trauma to her dog. She even had a photo of her terrier looking sad by the pond. I played the chemical video, showed the permit, and sat back. The room went quiet, then someone snorted. Todd, a city official who lived down the street, stood up and said, "This pond's legal, it's gorgeous, and frankly, it's the best thing in this neighborhood." The crowd cracked up. Lisa stormed out, heels clicking like gunfire. Her final move was a lawsuit. Yep, she sued me for duck-induced anguish and property devaluation. She even roped in the HOA, which backfired when they countersued her for harassment. I added a bench by the pond, a little plaque saying "Pond Watchers Only," and caught her trying to paint it over with nail polish, pink streaks on her gloves like a guilty kid. The ducks sealed her fate. One evening, they did this goofy mating dance right on that bench, one pooping on the smeared paint. Neighbors gathered, someone live-streamed it, and the clip went viral on our local Reddit. Lisa's house went up for sale a month later. She moved out at midnight, her van scraping the curb as a duck waddled in her path. I watched from my porch, sipping tea, not lifting a finger. Now, the pond's a certified rain garden, protected by the city. The new neighbors love it. Their kid named a duck Captain Quack. The HOA's chill, and I'm the guy who turned a parking spat into a nature win. Lisa didn't just lose. She made herself the villain in a story she couldn't rewrite. It started with a spot, a simple act of decency she couldn't muster, and ended with a pond that's more than revenge. Eats peace, community, a middle finger to entitlement. But here's the thing. Was I too far gone, digging pits and baiting her with ducks? Or was this justice for every jerk who thinks rules don't apply? Tell me in the comments what would you have done? And if you've got a neighbor like Lisa, drop your story below. Let's keep this pond party going.